Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop, and today I'm working on another office decoration thing. I've been doing some project videos around kind of redecorating my office at work, and so this time we are playing again with some TruFlat material, and we're going to be cutting out a custom picture frame on the xTool S1 Diode laser, and then we're going to use some of this white material that we cut out on that laser with the EufyMake E1 UV printer, and we're going to be putting on there a photo from my wife. She's big into photography, likes playing around with macro photography. And so I've got a cool photo of that she took, and we're gonna make kind of a photo inspired frame. And I'm gonna show you how to set it up in Lightburn. We're gonna show you printing it out on the Eufy printer and see how it all comes together. So I will have chapters down below if you wanna skip ahead through maybe the Lightburn part. If you don't care about that, you can just go straight to the laser cut and how the printer works. And then at the end, we'll show you the finished product and see how it all came out. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I'm gonna jump right into it. Down in my office, we're gonna be jumping into Lightburn in just a second, and I'm gonna try to fairly quickly show you the steps to set up this custom frame. But let me show you the photo first. So my wife's into macro photography, and she was able to capture this bee on a flower, most likely collecting some pollen and such from there. And this is gonna be a nice subject to print out on the Eufy UV printer. We're gonna be printing that onto some of the white kind of primered TruFlat material. But then we're going to cut a layered frame, and I want to give it a bit of a theme around this bee. So we're going to be making a kind of a honeycombed top layer frame for that. So let's jump over into Lightburn. I'm going to show you those steps. If you're not interested in the Lightburn stuff, down below I do have some chapters set up. You can jump right into the laser cutting and that aspect of it if you want. So but let's just take a few minutes, step through the parts in Lightburn, and see how we're going to get this set up. So we've got Lightburn opened, and I've already dragged in the photo. So the first thing we need to do is size the photo down. Now you'll see it's in black and white. Lightburn does that, but we're not even, this is just for reference. So I'm going to make this, we're going to say the photo is going to be 8 inches wide. So we want to make sure the aspect ratio is locked here. We're going to come up to width. We're just going to type in 8. So that'll make that 8 inches wide, and that will be kind of the base that we work off of. So I am going to need the bottom layer of the frame, which this is going to sit into, and actually this part we cut out is what it's going to be printed on. We need to size that up. So first I'm going to need a box the same size as this photo. So we're going to go ahead and just going to draw a box here, and we can resize this. We can unlock the aspect ratio, and so that needs to be, again, 8 inches wide, and the height needs to be 5.333. So I'm just gonna come over here and go 5.333. So that should fit right around this photo, which it does, which is fine. And now we need to work off of the outside of the frame. So what I could do is we can just do an offset of this one. So we're going to come out to our offset shapes. And what I want to do is have it be, I want it to fit onto the 12-inch by 24-inch material without wasting a lot. So I'm going to make it 11.5 in its width. So we're just going to kind of go at a random offset distance here of, say, oh, we want to go outward. Let's start at, I'm going to say 2, and let's adjust it from there. So we're going to go okay, and this ends up being 12. So we're actually going to lock that back down. We're going to go 11.5. I suppose I could have done the math better on that to get that, but always more than one way to do it. So now what we're going to do is just center both of those, and we'll group them up for now. So this is going to be our base piece. The inner part is what the photo is actually going to be printed on. The outer frame is what the overall frame is going to be. So we've got 11.5 by just under 9 inches for overall size. So we can duplicate as another option versus copy and paste. And then I'm going to ungroup this, and we're going to bring this frame, we're going to use our offset tool again. This time we're going to go inward. We're going to come in just 0.25 inches all around. And then we're going to delete the original object, leaving just the new frame size. And there we have it. That will give us a 1/4 inch overlap around this photo to kind of just capture it. You could probably get by with an 1/8 if you have a lot of the photo. You don't want to lose in the edges, but 1/4 inch just gives us a little more security. So, all right, so we have that. Now we need to actually duplicate this one more time. So we're going to right click, Control D for duplicate. This piece is going to be a base piece. We're just going to go ahead and lock that. And I'm going to move this one over here. This will be our inner piece. These will be our second piece. And then this is going to be our top layer. So as a matter of fact, for now, I am going to group this up. Okay, so we have our frame. Now we need to create our array. So I'm going to grab our polygon tool. I'm going to hold shift while I'm dragging that out. That just makes it uniform. And we want to be able to do some simple math on this. So I'm going to start out with this being a height of 0.5 inches. With that, I'm going to bring this up into this corner, right about there. We'll do some adjustments later. And I'm going to use our array tool to start building out our array, but we're only going to do 2 and 2. Now we want to get these kind of evenly spaced. We know this is 1/2 inch and we have a Y spacing of 1/8 of an inch. So if we do some simple math, we add a 1/2 inch plus 1/8 inch, that gives 0.625. I'm going to divide that by 2 because we're going to shift these up halfway to the halfway point. So that's means we need to do an X column shift of 0.3125. And that gives us kind of even spacing around all of these. Now the next thing we can do is start expanding our columns. So we're going to go ahead and bring this over to where it covers everything. It's okay that we're overhanging a little bit. And then we're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to go like that to bring it in. Now that we have our grid, we can start adjusting its size. What we're going to want to do is get this to where we have enough of a border that there's still good structural integrity around the outside and the inside edge, but we want this honeycomb to cover most of it. So we can actually do a little bit of scaling right away. I'm looking at, we've got 3 wide here and we'd have about 3 tall here. We're going to obviously need to delete some of these, but we want to make sure there's enough gap there, enough gap here, and we'll go from there. All right, so the next thing we can do is we can get rid of a big chunk of these by coming over here. We're going to open up under tools, we're going to go to Boolean Assistant. And I think if we do subtract A from B, yeah, that will give us approximately what we want. Now we're actually catching some of the edge there as well. So we're going to need to come in and do some deletion after this. But I'm going to hit OK on that. And now I'm going to come and grab another one of these. So we're going to duplicate that and move it down. And then we're going to come back to our original one. As a matter of fact, I want to do a little bit of deletion first. We're going to ungroup this. And we can first start by selecting that outer bit, getting rid of that. And then this inner bit, getting rid of that. And then let me get this out of the way just so I can grab the right ones. If we select this again, let's regroup that. Bring this back in and we can just select both of them and center them with that tool. And yeah, that looks pretty good. We've got kind of some gap around the center to hold some integrity there. We've got them around the outside. What we're going to end up doing is cutting out all of these little hexagon from this layer. We'll have this back layer be another color to kind of be a contrasting thing. Those two will then hold in the photo. We'll put this third layer on in the back. We're going to print the photo on this inner part, and then this frame will lock it in, and then we'll figure out the securing method on the back. So that's the basic file setup. I'm going to go ahead and then send this to the xTool S1 laser here. We're going to put the various sheets of TruFlat in there, and then we'll come back out to the shop, and we need to print out the B using the UV printer onto the TruFlat plywood as well. So we'll get into that and see how it looks when it's all done. So we've got a piece of the maple TruFlat material, and I'm going to be using this 3M polyester laminating tape. Since the design is going to cut out a lot of the material, I don't want to have a lot of squeeze out from glue. So this will act as a nice adhesive barrier, and with its nature of polyester, it should laser cut okay. So we're just going to burnish that down, make sure that's nice and flat, and we're going to get this set up in the xTool S1. I do enjoy using this laser for a couple reasons. It has this nice depth sensor. It's going to go ahead and measure the thickness of the material. And then we can also use this crosshair to align. So I'll put it up in one corner and then move it to the other side. Holding down the original corner, I'm just going to rotate it till it meets that point. And then you use your pinpoint setup. You mark one corner and then you move to the other one, push the button, hit the other corner, and it basically drops that area into your software so you can move your artwork into place. So we are going to send this job to the laser. I'm cutting this with the 40-watt laser at 15 millimeters a second and 100% power. This is also connected to the AP2 air filtration system, which has been working very well with this laser. Hopefully I have more information on that in a future video. But we're going to go ahead and get this top frame cut out. This is the one that takes the longest. I believe it took about just under 11 minutes to finish it out. We are getting a little bit of overburn and vaporization there. I think the polyester backing is adding a little bit to that, but we'll be able to clean this up when it's all done. So as I mentioned, we're going to pop this out, but with that polyester backing, there is just a little more sticking of the parts. So I just kind of had to finish popping them off. Everything was cut through, but just a little stickiness. So we're going to drop in the next layer. This is where we're using the walnut one, and this is going to be just your basic frame. Much faster cut and getting a little bit cleaner cut, I think, without that back polyester adhesive. Is just coming out a little bit cleaner. And that took a couple minutes, and we're going to drop our bottom white layer in. Once again, hitting the start button, letting this cut out on the laser. With all the parts cut, we do need to clean it up. I'm using this Purity lens cleaner. It's kind of a lighter based alcohol cleaner. And the nice thing with this TruFlat, having that finished surface, it does clean up very easy. So just going over all the edges to get that nice and cleaned. And then we also, of course, need to clean this honeycomb. You can kind of see the difference between the cleaned edge and not. So just got to work around this. This honeycomb one took a little bit extra time. But once we've got that done, we can start assembling. Now we have that cutout adhesive side I'm laying down on top of the walnut. I'm using a little trick here with some tape. I'm going to create a hinge that's going to hold these in place. So I just get them all lined up and then seal that hinge over to the edge, which is then going to allow me to fold this open while still holding the parts in alignment. So we can go ahead and remove the backing. We had those two strips, and those do peel off nice and easy. And then we can just fold them together, making sure everything stays in alignment. That hinge definitely helping keep that alignment in place. Then we just press lightly, make sure everything is secured down. With the hinge removed, everything's looking good on the top. Now we can look at the next layer. I could glue these together, but I'm going to go ahead and use more of this laminating tape. So I'm just cutting strips to move around the frame. And I'm going to try to make sure we get good coverage. I may have gone a little overkill on this, but I don't want anything kind of peeling apart. So we go ahead and use our hinge method again, fold it open, remove all those backings, and then we can just repeat the process, fold it back up together, and press it all into place. We're moving over to the UV printer here. We've got the sling bed, and I want to add some masking so that we can overlap the image onto the board to get full coverage, but I don't want that cured resin messing up the board. And nice feature of this printer is it does use lasers to check the height of the object, and that'll get that dialed into the software. And then we're also going to have it run a snapshot so that it can use the camera to basically give us in the software an overview of where the object is placed. Jumping back into the software now, we've imported our photo, and we're going to do some placement here. We do turn down the opacity just a little bit so that we can see the backer. You do always want to remember to turn that back up before you're done and send the print job. Otherwise, you're going to get a very faded image. But we're just going to resize and rotate this just to have a 1/16 or so overlap around that. The camera placement on this is pretty accurate, but we do want just a little bit of overlap to get it edge to edge. And we send the file off to the device. You do have to hit the start button to send the job. And then the UV printer will do its thing. The job takes about 10 minutes to print this on standard quality. But once it's done, it spits it out, and we have a beautiful looking image printed on this white TruFlat material. Really love the quality that this printer does. So let's get this installed into the frame. So we're going to flip that over to the back side, And I'm using this Lightburn tape. This is from my RC hobby. We use it for hinges on foam aircraft, but it's a nice thin material that sticks to most things. It is removable. It's a little bit flexible. So it's kind of a nice temporary but almost permanent thing. So if I ever do want to swap this out, I can. And that's holding that in pretty well. But let's also create a hanger. I've done another video on making these little art hangers, so I'll link that down below. But just using a scrap piece of this TruFlat to cut out a couple of options. One's a keyhole, one's a shark tooth. And we're just going to use some Starbond CA and accelerator to glue these together. And we'll let those set up and then see which one we think works best on the print. We're going to first find center, give it a little mark there. And I'm opting for the shark's tooth one. So once again, we're going to use a little glue and CA accelerator. You do want to make sure this cures before hanging this on the wall. So maybe just give it a good 24 hours before you hang it up. All right, I am really happy with how this turned out. The print on the TruFlat material came out very well. This was on their more primer white. They have also a glossy white. I went with the primered white because I think the adhesion of the UV ink is going to work better in the long term. But we do have that Lightburn tape on here. If anything does happen to this, I can pop this off and swap it out. I don't see that I would use this specific frame for other photos, maybe similar ones. But hopefully it gives you an idea of maybe making a customized frame using that array tool in Lightburn to kind of set this up. Works well. Love the TruFlat material. It's very consistent, easy to cut on most diode lasers, CO2 lasers and such. And that pre-finished top veneer, very easy to clean up. So a lot of bonuses there. This is my first time using that 3M polyester adhesive tape. It worked very well. There's no squeeze out or any mess from the glue. I have a feeling it's going to hold up very well. So overall, very happy with this project. Very happy with how the tools worked, both the Eufy UV printer for making this artwork, and then the xTool S1 has been a staple in my shop for doing projects like these. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this is inspiring for you and gives you some ideas to do some creation. My concern is I'm probably gonna have to make another one of these. My wife loves her artwork as well, so she might want to hang this up in her office or somewhere. And so good thing I have the files, I can recreate this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hey, hit that like button and maybe leave me a comment. I didn't price this out because this is a personal project, but this is definitely something you could do some creative work for people, some custom work. The time, it was about 15 minutes of laser cutting time, that top sheet taking a lot, and then about another 10 minutes for the UV printer. So not a whole lot of actual machine time. And by using that adhesive tape, things kind of went together pretty quickly. So there's not a lot of labor into this. So I think your price point on this is really the customization and your kind of prep work is going to be more of the time in designing that frame. But tell me what you think in the comments, what maybe you think this might be priced at if you were going to sell some work like this, and we'll all learn together. If you're new here, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe hit that subscribe button. I do a lot of project videos like this. We do machine reviews as well, and also some tutorials. But also 7 p.m. Central Time on Sunday nights, I hop on here live with David from the Clack Shack. We do a 2-hour live stream, a lot around lasers, but we also talk about CNC routers, 3D printers, now my UV printer, things like that. Showing people kind of a few things that are new, but a lot of it is just answering questions live from viewers like you, people that have questions about lasers, whether they're looking to buy one, maybe they're having a problem with one. We try to answer them in real time. So if you want to have some fun, interact with us in real time, hop on there, 7 p.m. Central, Sunday nights, and we'll be happy to see you there. Anyway, I'll wrap this up, but I want to thank you again for watching that. Consider hitting that like button on your way out, and we'll hope to see you in a future video. But more importantly, I hope you get out in your workshop and make something too. We'll catch you next time.